appropriate attire.
Yeah. And you matching with your microphone as well.
Yeah. Perfect for UFC Denmark.
Yes.
We're rolling?
Yes.
All right. This is Sebastian Martinez, MMAnytt, here with Nicolas Locomotivo Dalby, a man who definitely brings some swagger in terms of clothing style to the welterweight division. You've got the most, it's like Danish Back to the Future Reebok shoes. Loving them. And you said you wanted to match the shirt as well.
Yeah.
Is that important to you to sort of have that sort of style and swag? Is that a nice little outlet to sort of maybe get a little bit of different change of pace for you?
Well, that's how I am. This is how I could dress, in an everyday situation. Maybe not these shoes every day, but I like to care about the way I coordinate my clothing and stuff. And I felt that the fans connect more with me when I'm just 100% myself. So be it.
So you mean you don't wear the full leopard spandex suit out of to the store on a Monday evening?
No, I don't do that. I don't actually wear that anymore. That was related to another chapter of my life when I partied too much and were too crazy. So I've kind of put that behind me.
It's paid dividends though, because it's a very good way of putting a different chapter in your life, because it kind of seems like we're seeing a new Dalby. You've been open with that. You've had some problems, which you battled through, and I think most people would agree that you truly did come out stronger. We recently talked to Jack Hermansson as well, who said that he's glad about the problems that he has, because otherwise he wouldn't have gotten motivated to change it. Do you feel that as well, that perhaps some of those hardships were necessary and even beneficial for you?
Yeah, in hindsight, I feel that way. When it was going on, it sucked big time. So when it was going on, I didn't really appreciate it. But now I appreciate the lessons I've learned from it. So definitely, it's changed me. I'm not a different person, but I'm a way better person. I'm better in my private life. I'm better in regards to my sport. I just feel happy. So I appreciate it.
Well, you couldn't have picked a better event to come back to. Obviously you must have known that the UFC were planning to come here, and as you've mentioned before, on the scorecards you were up against Ross Houston and Cage Warriors, but the fact that it did go to a non-contest, were you at all worried that the result itself would perhaps put your chances of coming back in jeopardy?
Yeah, it was a tiny bit, because, I wasn't aware if UFC maybe had some, intern policy that they couldn't sign a fighter if he wasn't coming off a win, on paper. So I was a little bit worried, and I was very anxious leading up to me getting the news. Everybody was asking me, because the event got announced before my fight with Houston. So, of course, a lot of the media for that fight, they were asking, so if you win this fight, will you get a call back to the UFC? And how should I know? I'm not in the UFC. But of course I was hoping to. So getting that kind of ambiguous result to the fight on paper, left me in kind of a limbo. But I think that, everyone who saw the fight had me winning the fight. And of course Houston maybe could have done something later in the fight, but it happened as it happened, and up until it got stopped, I dominated. So I'm just happy that that fact and the attention it created got me re-signed.
And looking back at that fight, that's the kind of match that forces me to have to defend my job to my relatives at Christmas. It's probably the most bloody fight that I've ever seen. When you look back at it, obviously when you're in it, you're in the moment, you're trying to win. But when you look back, you just think oh my God, it's just it's like a horror movie.
Yeah, but in the coolest way possible. This was not a movie, this was real life. I actually did it. Those actors, they can go away. I did it.
You survived a real life Saw movie.
Exactly. So yeah, I look back at it with pride, because I got that deep cut on my head in the first round, and I felt the pressure, and I brought it to Houston, and fair play and respect to him. He stood up for himself and didn't quit when I broke his nose and he was bleeding and breathing blood into his lungs. So he was there. He was a dog. But I appreciate that fight, It was crazy sitting on top of the cage, just smeared in blood, and the pictures, me standing over him with my arms out to the side. I felt like it was a scene from Gladiator, are you not entertained?
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone was or entertained or horrified. Your opponent now, he's no stranger to deep cuts and bloody battles either. You drew Alex Oliveira, Cowboy. Were you surprised at that fight, or were you like welcoming it? Was he the first fight offered, or did you ask for it? How did that all come about?
Well, I didn't have any clue as to how they would match me up. So when I got offered Oliveira, I said instantly yes.
So he was the first one?
Yes. Okay. So, I got him offered, and I was like, my first goal was to get re-signed to UFC. That happened. And then my next goal after that was to get into top 10. And this fight is the perfect risk and reward fight for that, because he's risky. But he also has the name value where the reward will be good. Like he's not ranked in top 15, but I would probably put him in top 20. So getting the opportunity to fight him and win over him, that will boost me up fast towards the top 10, which is my next goal.
And how do you size him up? Because, I mean, he's had some ups and downs. He can be a little bit uneven as such. There's times where he looks like a world beater. I remember times where he's, had some tough performances. What do you expect him to bring into the cage on Saturday night?
Well, I'm expecting the worst case scenario, that he comes in and looks like a world beater. But I've tried that before against a guy like Darren Till or Elias dos Santos. So in that aspect, I think a lot of people, they ask me, "Oh, it's Cowboy you're fighting," but I'm more like, he's fighting Nicolas Dalby. Yeah. He's not just fighting the sharpshooter; he's fighting the Locomotivo, he's back, better than ever. So it's gonna be a crazy battle probably, but I'm gonna go out with my arms raised.
And another thing that changed recently for you was that you became a father. And we've seen some fighters, for example, Donald Cerrone, another Cowboy, has accredited the birth of his son to sort of a reinvigoration of his career, that he sees things a little bit differently, that now he's fighting for his family, not just for himself. Do you feel any sort of change like that for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting the news that we were... that my girlfriend was pregnant with our daughter made me take the steps necessary to get out of the depression I was in and to get back on track with my athletic career. So definitely that made a huge change. It's so cliche to say, but if you have a kid, you know the feeling. It's an overwhelming feeling of responsibility, and with that comes a desire to create the best possible world for my daughter. I don't have to be rich and drive a Porsche or, have a crazy big apartment. I just want to make sure that like her everyday life is nice and secure and safe. And that's what this gives me.
And you will be making your return to the UFC, first fight on the main card. I'm sure you have a lot of fans and friends who are already making their way over. And for fans all across the world, what do you feel they should expect when the Locomotivo picks up a Cowboy?
Well, the Cowboy is tied to the train tracks, and the Locomotivo is running at full steam ahead. So it's probably it might be a bloody affair. Limbs might get torn off. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, all respect to him. He's a good fighter. But I have an entirely different focus now. I have an entirely different approach to my training and to my life. I'm not just here because the opportunity happened. I'm here because I fought for it. I want this.
All right. Well, I can't possibly top an answer like that. So fans will surely be looking forward to Nicolas Dalby's return against Alex Cowboy Oliveira at the main card at UFC Copenhagen. Thank you very much and welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.